Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something quite intricate.
Yes, we are. We're looking at this theological framework called creation completion, or Changzhou Wanxin in the original context.
And it's highly structured. We've got these source materials that lay out four very specific stages.
That's right. Incredibly detailed, scripturally based. They map out a kind of logical sequence, a roadmap, really.
It's not just about getting to the end goal, like eternal perfection. It feels more like understanding the blueprint. How exactly does it get there?
Exactly, the cause and effect. How does creation move from, well, here to that final perfect state?
So that's what we want to do for you today. This stuff can be pretty dense, let's be honest.
Oh, definitely.
So we want to give you that clear map, sort of a shortcut through the core logic. We need to figure out how this system, as presented, guarantees perfection.
And it seems to do that in two main ways. First, by eliminating the very possibility that things going wrong again.
Right, getting rid of the potential for failure.
And second, by dissolving things that were only needed temporarily. Things like, well, death or even certain kinds of authority.
Okay, so it's a system designed to perfect itself and then streamline itself.
You could put it that way. It's quite a fascinating theological structure, a kind of closed loop where each step makes the next one inevitable.
So where do we start? What's the absolute first step in this grand design?
It has to start with the core issue, doesn't it? The flaw that caused problems in the first place. Free will.
Okay, stage one then. Completing free will. 자유 의지로 완성되신다. So this isn't just about forgiveness for past mistakes.
No, not according to these sources. For true completion, for everlasting harmony, you have to deal with the future. The potential for anyone to transgress again, that has to be completely removed.
How does the system achieve that?
Well, this is where the cross comes in, but maybe in a way that's broader than just atonement.
Okay.
The sources really emphasize Colossians 1:20, achieving harmony huapiang through the blood of the cross, reconciling all things earth and heaven.
All right, reconciliation. But how does that stop future sin?
The interpretation here is key. The cross isn't just an event, it's a demonstration. A cosmic lesson almost.
A lesson.
Yes, it serves to definitively prove God's perfect love and God's perfect justice, the gongwi, to every single created being. All the pijamoldo.
So it's like Exhibit A for the entire universe.
Kind of, yeah. Irrefutable evidence. And the sources argue that when creatures truly comprehend the depth of the love, the inflexibility of the justice shown together, it fundamentally changes them.
Changes how?
They come to love God in response
Great.
because they finally grasp the totality of it all, the sacrifice, the righteousness held in perfect tension.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if understanding this makes future sin impossible, is that still genuine freedom? Or is it more like being reprogrammed for good?
That's a really important point, and the sources tackle it. The argument isn't that free will is taken away. It's that free will is completed, perfected.
Completed. How does that work?
Well, think about it. If freedom means the ability to choose, right, and you're presented with the ultimate choice, finite self-interest, which leads to ruin, versus infinite divine love, demonstrated perfectly on the cross.
Okay.
A perfectly informed will, one that fully understands the implications, the love, the justice. It simply won't choose transgression. The rational basis for choosing evil has been, well, obliterated by the sheer weight of the evidence, by the love understood.
So the choice is still technically there, but one option becomes unthinkable because of perfect understanding and love.
Exactly. It's not coercion. It's conviction born from perfect clarity.
And this leads to the core guarantee of the state.
Precisely. The source material is explicit here. Creatures who reach this state of loving God through understanding will never transgress again. Deshinium biom johaji anahonda.
Never again. That's the structural linchpin then.
It absolutely is. It secures the foundation. The potential for the system to fail internally is just gone, negated.
Wow. Okay, so if that potential for sin is gone forever, what happens next? You mentioned a chain of annihilation.
Right. It follows logically. If sin is permanently dealt with, what's the direct consequence of sin that's no longer needed?
Death.
Death, exactly. The sources are very clear on this logical flow. No sin means no death.
So if nobody dies anymore,
Then death itself becomes, well, redundant. It has no function. So it must be annihilated, samyildianda.
annihilated, not just defeated, but erased.
Yeah. It's seen almost like a parasite. Sin is the host, destroy the host, and the parasite vanishes. It's a necessary consequence that becomes unnecessary.
That completely reframes the purpose of the cross in the system. It's not just about paying for the past, it's about providing the proof needed to perfect the will for the future.
Which in turn dismantles the entire structure of mortality. It's a huge shift.
Yeah, you're moving from a system that needs forgiveness to one where offense is literally impossible.
And once you have that perfected internal state, that completed free will,
Hmm.
well, setting up the perfect external environment becomes the logical next step.
Which brings us to paradise.
Exactly. Stage 2. Establishing the paradise. Nagwan el irusinda. Now that the internal theological problem is solved, you build the environment to match.
So what does this completed environment look like, according to the sources?
It's defined as much by what's there as by what's not there. The sources pull a lot from Revelation 21.
Okay, Revelation 21, what's present?
The ultimate closeness. It says God's dwelling place, the Jangmak, is with people. God lives among them. It's the pinnacle of relationship, right? Creator and perfected creatures together.
Direct presence. No more separation. And what's absent? This seems just as important.
Absolutely crucial. The text emphasizes the total erasure of suffering, all tears wiped away, and it lists 4 specific things that are just gone.
4 things. Let's hear them.
Death,
Yeah.
mourning, atongannyunjit,
Crying.
gorang, gokannyunjit, and pain or sickness. Abinjioshidashi ichianiharani. They just cease to exist.
Wow. Death, mourning, crying, pain, all gone.
The source says, the former things have passed away. It's like a complete system reboot, undoing every negative ripple effect of the fall.
A total reset. But you said paradise isn't just about absences. There are restorations, too.
Yes, a major one. The tree of life. Songmyong Namo.
Ah, back from Genesis. What about it?
It's restored, according to Revelation 2 and 22, and it's seen as the source of continuous perpetual life for this perfected creation.
Continuous life. How does it work? The details seem important here.
They are. It apparently bears 12 kinds of fruit, yoldu gaji shilgwa. 12 often symbolizes completeness, like administrative perfection in Scripture.
12 fruits. Okay. And does it bear them seasonally?
No, that's the thing. It yields fruit every month. Domaraju shilgarol mashigo. The implication is constant provision. No cycles of lack, just a continuous flow of life.
Non-stop sustenance? What about the leaves? I think Revelation mentions the leaves, too.
Good point. The leaves are for the healing of the nations. Magukul sosyongagi wihayo.
Healing. But I thought there was no more sickness.
Right, so healing here might mean something more like ensuring ongoing wholeness, systemic well-being, maintaining the perpetual vibrancy of the entire community, the nations, even within perfection. It's about keeping the whole system flourishing.
Okay, so a perfectly provisioned, perpetually vibrant environment. But you mentioned earlier, this isn't quite the final state yet. There's a transitional phase within this paradise stage.
Yes, the 1,000-year reign, the millennial period. It's described as happening within this paradise completion process.
1,000 years. What's the purpose of that specific period?
It serves a critical logical function. It's the empirical test run, the proof in practice.
How so?
The source says Jesus confines Satan for those 1,000 years. Satan Yulgadasinda takes him out of the equation entirely.
Okay, Satan's locked up. What does that prove?
It proves stage 1 worked. Remember the perfected free will. Now you have an environment with no external tempter, no source of deception or mihawk.
Ah, I see. So you can see how the perfected creatures behave without that external pressure.
Exactly. No deception means no trigger for sin, Byamjo. No sin means no suffering or pain, Goton.
So those 1,000 years are completely free of suffering.
According to the source, yes, entirely. It's like a controlled experiment. It validates that the perfected internal state, stage 1, thrives in the perfected external state, stage 2, even before the final absolute judgment. It shows the system is inherently stable once the corrupting influence is removed.
So stage 2 builds the perfect place and then runs a 1,000-year test to prove it works.
You got it. It confirms the perfected creature functions perfectly in the perfect environment, free from the original source of temptation.
Satan is only confined temporarily. He's let out after the 1,000 years, right?
Yes, for a final brief moment according to Revelation, which leads directly to the need for the next stage. The test is over. Now it's time for the final cleanup. The permanent removal of all remnants of the old, broken system.
Right. Which brings us to stage 3, judging and annihilating evil. Joakul Shimfan Hashinda. This is where everything associated with sin gets dealt with permanently.
Yes. Following that millennial reign, this stage centers on the Great White Throne Judgment, the Baukbochwa Daishimpan,
The Great White Throne. Sounds final. Who is judged here?
The sources, drawing on Revelation 20, say it's comprehensive. The dead, great and small, standing before the throne. It seems to encompass everyone from history who isn't already part of the perfected group.
Everyone. Okay. And what's the basis of this judgment?
It's very specific. Books are opened. One is the Book of Life, the Sigmayon Cheik. But the judgment itself is rendered based on what's in the other books according to their deeds, their actions. Jagi Hangrul Tachia.
Based on deeds. A life review, essentially.
A final, ultimate accounting.
Yeah.
And to make sure it's total, the text emphasizes that everything holding the dead must give them up. The sea gives up its dead, death, Samang, gives up its dead, and Hades, Yumbu, the realm of the dead, gives up its dead.
Nowhere to hide. Every single person accounted for.
That's the picture painted. Absolute judicial completeness.
Okay, so the judgment happens. People are judged based on their lives. What happens then? This is where the annihilation part comes in.
Yes, and this is where the structural logic gets really interesting, especially regarding Revelation 20.14. It's about dismantling the old infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
Think about it. Once sin is gone, stage 1, and the perfected system is validated, stage 2, what happens to the consequences and structures built around sin?
They become unnecessary.
Exactly. The source argues that death, Samang, is simply no longer needed. Pilyoga iopsigenda. It's not just defeated as an enemy, it becomes functionally obsolete in a creation designed for eternal life.
That's a different way of looking at it. Not just an enemy killed, but an administrative function made redundant.
Precisely. Like a department being phased out because its purpose no longer exists.
Okay. So if death is unnecessary, what about Hades, the realm of the dead?
Same logic applies. If death is obsolete, then Hades, which the source interprets as the prison or holding place connected to death, also becomes unnecessary.
You don't need the prison if the crime and the sentence no longer exist.
You've got it. It's like shutting down the whole apparatus of mortality. And the text says what happens to them.
Ah, thrown into the lake of fire.
Right. Death and Hades are both thrown into the lake of fire, the Bulmat, which is called the second death, Dolce Samang.
So the second death is the annihilation of death itself and its realm.
That's the interpretation presented. It's the final, fiery disposal of these now obsolete structures. My takeaway from the sources is that the White Throne Judgment does two things simultaneously.
Okay.
It judges the deeds of individuals, yes, but it also acts as this ultimate purification, systematically burning everything connected to sin. Jo Wagwangi Duan, Yotaril, Bulmosta Senda. The very frameworks of death and confinement are incinerated because the root cause, sin, is gone.
So by the end of stage 3, the universe is purged. No more sin potential internally, no more external corruption, and no more structures related to death or punishment.
Clean slate, utterly purified. The created realm is finally ready for its ultimate permanent state.
Which sets the stage for the final act, the transfer of authority and achieving perfect rest.
Exactly. Stage 4, achieving perfect rest. Vonjanhan Onshik Ul Irusenda. This is the end game. It's not just about living forever. It's about the final structure of authority and relationship.
And the sources point to 1 Corinthians 15 for this.
Heavily. Particularly the verses about the Son's reign, Jesus' reign. It's presented as necessary, but also temporary.
Temporary? How so?
Well, 1 Corinthians 15, verses 24 to 26, lays out the condition. He must reign until he has destroyed all dominion, authority, and power, until all enemies are under his feet.
So his reign has a specific mission objective.
Yes, an administrative task, you could say. And the source highlights verse 26, the very last enemy to be destroyed is
Death. Samang.
death, which confirms the order, right?
Yeah.
Stage 3, the annihilation of death and Hades, must be complete before this reign concludes.
Okay, so his reigning has an endpoint tied to the completion of the cleanup.
And this leads to a really interesting distinction the sources make about Jesus' role during this period.
Jesus.
Well, he is fully God, obviously. But the sources suggest that until sin and its effects are totally purged from the created realm, the Pijoge, he operates specifically as the king of the creatures.
King of the creatures. Like a specific functional role for this phase.
Kind of like a necessary executive role. He takes on this specific kingship to oversee the judgment, the dismantling of the old order, and the establishment of the new eternal system within creation. It's an active administrative function needed to fix the broken system.
So it's God the Son acting in a specific capacity as king over creation to restore creation.
That seems to be the interpretation. And the sources even mentioned his state during this time. He wears a spiritual body, young Jiokan Momila Busigo, signifying his divine nature, but he's seated on an actual throne, 시우제 보좌중가신다.
A real throne.
Yeah, signifying real functional authority within the created order, exercised until that very last enemy, death, is gone.
Okay. So he reigns, he defeats the last enemy, death. The mission is accomplished. Then what?
Then comes the climax, the final, incredible act described in 1 Corinthians 15, verses 27 and 28.
Which is?
Once everything is subjected to him, everything except the Father, of course, then the Son himself willingly subjects himself to the Father.
He steps down or submits his completed work.
Submits the completed work, maybe. The administrative kingship over the creatures, that specific role he took on, is now fulfilled. Its purpose is complete. So, he hands the perfected creation back to the Father. The mediation role is no longer required.
Wow. The authority is returned to the ultimate source because the job is done.
Exactly. That's the ultimate marker of completion. The temporary office is dissolved because the rebellion is over. The restoration is perfect and permanent.
So let's quickly summarize what creation completion looks like at this final point, based on the sources.
Okay. First, the Son's action is complete. Sin and death are destroyed. The universe is secured.
Second, the state of the creatures. They never sin again. They live forever. Yongwan Yisanda, stage one's promise fulfilled.
Third, the environment. The created realm, the pijugi, is perfected, matches the perfected creatures.
And fourth, the governance. The Son delivers this finished creation back to the Father,
Leading to that ultimate state described using language from the King James Version cited in the source, that God may be all in all. 하나님이 만유의 주로 만유 안이 예시리요 하심이라.
God all in all, meaning direct relationship. No more need for that intermediary king of creatures role.
That seems to be it. The temporary structure dissolves. The universe returns to a state of direct, unmediated relationship with the Father, because there's nothing left, no sin, no death, no potential failure that requires that specific kind of intervention or rule. Mission truly accomplished.
It's incredibly systematic.
It really is. The theological discipline is noticeable. Every structure that arose because of sin, like death, or even the Son's specific reign over creatures, must be logically dismantled once sin is gone. The Son stepping back from that administrative throne is the final step needed for the Father to be all in all. Hashtag tag outro T.
Okay, wow. That was quite a journey through a very detailed structure, a real deep dive into the architecture of creation completion. Let's just quickly recap those 4 stages one last time, just to lock in that roadmap for you.
Good idea. So, stage 1, perfecting free will. The cross acts as this cosmic proof of love and justice, changing creatures so they won't sin again, which logically eliminates the need for death.
Stage 2, establishing paradise. The perfect environment is built, no more suffering, restoration of the tree of life, and then it's validated by that 1,000-year Satan-free reign, proving the system works.
Stage 3, annihilating evil. The Great White Throne judgment happens, deeds are judged, but crucially, the very structures of death in Hades are deemed obsolete and destroyed in the lake of fire. Total purification.
And finally, stage 4, achieving perfect rest. The Son finishes his mission, destroying the last enemy, death, and then submits the perfected creation back to the Father, dissolving his temporary kingship so that God can be all in all.
Yeah, the real beauty of this framework, I think, is how it focuses on achieving closure. It systematically closes off any possibility of future failure, and then logically dissolves all the temporary fixes, like specific forms of authority or punishment, that are no longer needed.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on. This idea of the Son willingly stepping back from that role of king of the creatures once the job is done.
Yeah, that dissolution of necessary power. It's profound. To just the kind of completion so total that even the structure required to achieve it isn't needed anymore.
So what does that really imply about the nature of authority itself, when its ultimate goal is fulfilled by, in a sense, making itself unnecessary, allowing for that direct, perfect relationship?
It's almost like the difference between the authority needed to win a war versus the relationship enjoyed in perfect peace. Something to think about.
Definitely. We really encourage you to explore the source material further if the structure intrigues you. Hopefully this roadmap helps you navigate it.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.